Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to take a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail bike rack for two bikes, and we're going to see how it works with our 2024 GMC Terrain. So the MonoRail is going to be a hitch platform bike rack that is going to provide a 60-pound weight capacity per tray, so it is going to be able to accommodate most of the e-bikes that are out there on the market now. It is a wheel-mounted bike rack, and that's going to mount through this arm and hook right here. It can be released and tightened through this trigger mechanism here, lift it out of the way, and it'll ratchet down and clamp in place on your tire. Our rear wheel is going to be held in place using this ratcheting strap, and these wheel trays can accommodate tires up to 5 inches wide, and the rear wheel tray is going to tilt to accommodate some shorter and wider wheelbases as well. But that's just a look at some of the features of the MonoRail. Let's take a look at how it fits on our terrain. As a frame of reference for you, the bike that we have on our MonoRail today has a large frame and it has 15-inch handlebars. So you could use that scale to kind of check and see how your bike is going to fit on here in relation. But taking a look at it, the MonoRail does keep the bike pretty close to the back of the vehicle compared to a lot of other platform bike racks. However, it's not so close that it's really in danger of making contact with the vehicle. In fact, even if you were on a rougher patch of road, we give this a really good shake, we're really not in any danger, several inches away, in fact, of any contact from either our handlebar or the pedal. But like with any platform hitch bike rack, we are going to have some visibility issues and obstructions when it comes to how it interacts with the back of the vehicle. It does keep your bike kind of high up, so you are going to be seeing it through your rear window. We're going to have some partial obstruction depending on the size of your wheels, of your taillights, as well as some partial obstruction of your license plate and your rear view camera. So because of that obstruction with the rear view camera, it's really important to understand what kind of footprint this is leaving behind your bumper, because you can't really see it directly. So from the bumper to the furthest point back on the bike rack, which is going to be right here, we are looking at about 29.5 inches. So just keep that in mind. You got about 2.5 feet extra back here that you've got to account for whenever you're backing into a tight space or trying to parallel park. We're also going to take a look at our ground clearance. So from the furthest point away, we have a ground clearance of a little over 18 inches, and that should be plenty for you if you come upon a steep incline or driveway. However, it is important to keep that in mind, that that is the kind of ground clearance you're going to get. Now, I had also mentioned that you're going to get a 60-pound weight capacity per tray. This particular bike rack doesn't have a load assist like a ramp, so however much your bike weighs, just make sure you're comfortable getting it up to a height of around 19 to 20 inches in order to load and unload your bike. Now, one of the most common questions we get when it comes to hitch bike racks is, will you have access to your cargo area with a bike still loaded? And in the case of the MonoRail with our Terrain, we indeed will. We do have a tilt-away function on this bike rack. It's operated through this blue pull handle underneath here. We're going to go ahead and reach underneath, brace our bike frame here, pull back on it, and slowly lower it away from the vehicle. Now, this has a pretty aggressive tilt, so we're going to have plenty of room now to come around and get into our lift gate. Yeah, we cleared the pedal and the handlebars by several inches. And at this point, we can get in, get our riding equipment, or maybe put it away, refill on some water, whatever we may need to do. Or maybe you're on your way home from the trail and you need to stop at the store, maybe pick up some groceries or something. Now we can do that really, really easy and conveniently by being able to get in there without having to remove the bike from the rack. And in order to get it back into the driving position, we do not need to re-engage that blue handle. All we need to do is lift up against it and listen for it to click into place. Now we're back in our driving position and ready to get back on the road. Now, loading and unloading your bike from the MonoRail is a really easy process, and RockyMounts took a step to make it even easier for you, especially in low light conditions. This bike rack is all black, but the operational contact points are all done in a bright blue like we see right here, and like we saw underneath with our handle that we pulled to put it in the tilt position. So we've got it here on that handle, and we've also got it on our arm and hook for the trigger mechanism there. But if we're going to unload our bike, we're going to start by, on the rear wheel here, by depressing this tab, releasing our strap, and we're just going to feed it through the spokes and clear it out the other side. Next, we'll move over here to our arm and hook. We've got the trigger mechanism right here. So I'm just going to hold this and keep my bike upright. I'll depress that button there, lift the hook up out of the way, and clear the wheel. Now, we do have a brace on the front wheel cup back here, so we're not going to be able to roll this off this way. Really, our best option is to roll it forward just slightly, lift up, and bring it down to the ground. And at this point, we're ready to either store it or go ahead and hit the trail. Depending on how much you ride, you may or may not want to leave this in the hitch. It does weigh almost 40 pounds, so if you ride pretty frequently, it's probably going to want to be something that you just kind of leave in there and use it when you need it. Luckily, you don't have to drive around with it in its deployed position like this when you have no bike on it. We do have a stowaway position that's going to help us reduce that footprint coming out behind our bumper. We're going to go right back down underneath to that same kind of charging handle lever that we've got down here that we used for the tilt away. Although this time, instead of letting it fall away, we're going to pull it and then we're going to lift up toward our bumper and let it click into place. Now at this point, as you can see, we've really reduced everything that's coming off of back here. We still have some sticking out though, so we're going to just take a measurement of that, and we've got it down to 11 inches back here. So we've cut that in half by more than half actually, and this is going to make it a whole lot easier for you to maneuver with it in this upright position. We've also regained visibility of our license plate, our tail lights, and for the most part, we're going to get most of our visibility out of our rear view camera. But we're going to be able to see enough out of that to help us judge where this is at that 11 inches, making maneuvering in and out of those tight spots that much easier. So that's a look at the RockyMounts MonoRail bike rack for 2 bikes on our 2024 GMC Terrain. And if after watching this video you decide that the monorail is the bike rack for you, and after you get it and are able to use it a few times, please share with us what you think about it in the comments below. We would love to share that story with other neighbors like you in order to help them make the best decision for themselves. Once again, this is Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.